I'm going to react to a video about how to stop farting or passing gas. This is serious. It's funny, but it's serious though. I haven't watched this yet, so I'm gonna be. It's my first time with you watch along with me. The three of us, my two returning users. I appreciate two returning watchers, I guess to say. I appreciate you guys. It's three of us, just like the 300. So, without further ado,
Up flatulence. Now, the average person, according to they, farts between 5 to 15 times a day with no odor. Now,
that already, so 5 to 15 times a day without any odor. I've never counted. Maybe I should count one day. I don't know. Does anybody out there count? Make a comment. Now I'm thinking 15 times a day without odor. Hmm. To who? A human nose? Or, anyway, I'll let him carry on.
you might be sitting down there saying, I fart more than that, or I fart less than that, or I don't fart at all. But this is an average person. So it's kind of like saying the average person consumes 145 pounds of sugar per year. Well, I consume 0 sugar in a year. So some people consume a tremendous.
I notice he does more than a few videos on sugar, and I try to watch a lot of these because I'm struggling with this at times. Sometimes I do good, then go a while, and then the urge just comes. And again, that's another video anyway. We're talking about farting.
tremendous amount, and some a small amount, but we're looking at the average. But an average person expels gas at a frequency between 5 to 15 a day. Now, there's been times in your life that you may have experienced this more, depending on what you eat. For example, if you're in college and you eat this thing called Hormel chili, for example, you may experience more flatulence. I know for me, I had a problem in my late 20s when I was trying to become a vegan for a few months. It didn't really work out. But if you have
Speaking of that, speaking of college, I do remember being in school, and yeah, whatever you eat, it does affect. I was in school. I was in the library in a study room. It's like a big area with full of desks. I say the desks were ranging about maybe 15 to 20. It might have been more, maybe like 24 desks. Anyway, it was a section of the library where you could study, and there was a guy there. I'm not gonna say. I'm trying to say this without being. Anyway, I'm just gonna say he ate. You could tell he ate a particular food, and I got so pissed off. Can I say that? Because he kept. It was one of those silent killers, and I suspected who it was. Right? Sometimes your nose doesn't lie, because when they pass by, and it was like this guy ate. I know he ate at one of the. You know what? I don't know what he ate, but it was horrible, and it filled the entire place. I don't see how those other people stayed there. I left. I couldn't bear it. It was just so bad. You ever had it? It was so bad till it was almost painful. It was just painful. I was so mad. I wanted to punch the guy. And he was just. And you're in there studying. It's a silent area, and you hear the psst, and I'm just like, can't you go to the bathroom? Like, you just sat here. Everybody's trying to study or do their work or do their homework or their projects or whatever, or write a paper, and you're here just psst, and it just expands the entire room. Like, I smelled the whole thing on the way out. There was no escape. Anyway, that's my school story. Let him get back to showing us how to stop or avoid or whatever he's gonna say.
have a problem now, I'm going to show you exactly what to do to resolve it. Now, since we're on the topic of farts, I have to bring up cow farts and burps, okay? Because if you do a search on flatulence, the first, I don't know how many pages will talk about how cows are farting and burping and releasing about 160 to 320 liters of methane per day.
Sorry to interrupt again. Before I forget, yeah, I did read about a study that was basically paid for through taxes, It was a study Congress passed about how many times cows fart in a day. So I guess this must be the result of that study. I'm guessing. This was years ago I read about it, but it's funny to see this now, kind of just vaporizing in front of us.
And that's basically causing the global warming, et cetera, et cetera. But if you actually dig into all the data and research, you're going to find some real interesting things about that counter that theory and give you some of the data that's missing and never included when they're talking about this topic. And I'm going to put that research down below, but between 1990 and 2007, the global cattle and buffalo population increased by a factor of 125 million extra cows and buffalo on this planet. And during that period of time, there was zero increase in methane. But this data is always omitted when they're talking about this topic. So again, when you're trying to evaluate information, you really need to have all the information to come up with the right.
Okay, I have a question about that. Okay, if it's just okay, if there was an increase in methane, they studied cows. I mean, every other animal farts too. So what about all the animals around the globe? Like, I maybe I missed something. Maybe someone will point it out. I don't know. I think I missed something here because, I mean, other animals farted too. So anyway,
Right conclusion. There are many other things that are much bigger in contributing to more methane than
exactly. That's where I was getting. Anyway,
cows. All right, so what causes flatulence? Well, we have certain fiber that you eat, certain carbohydrates that you eat in the form of sugar, starches, okay, that are then fermented. So microbes are acting on these fibers and sugars and they're eating them. That's their food. And as a byproduct, hydrogen is released and then methane is also released. Now, this process should occur in your large intestine. It should not occur in the small intestine. When it does, you get what's called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and that can create a lot of gas and a lot of problems. And one of the causes for SIBO is a lack of stomach acid. In fact, one of the big causes of gas in general is a lack of stomach acid. As we get older, we lose.
now this I didn't know. This is important information. I had no idea that was a lack of stomach acid. Okay, this is good to know. How to increase stomach acid.
The acidity in our stomach. If we take antibiotics, we start losing stomach acid. If we take antacids, we lose the stomach acid. There's a lot of things that we're exposed to that can contribute to less stomach acid. Now, if we don't have the right pH in our stomach, between like 1 and 3, which is very, very acidic, food gets undigested. And if it's undigested, everything below the stomach has a more difficult time breaking that food down. And that creates all sorts of strain and stress on the enzyme production from your pancreas, from the gallbladder releasing bile, from the small intestine to do its work. And then you can start getting fermentation in the small intestine. And again, that's called SIBO. And this is where a person starts consuming fiber, okay, even from vegetables, and they really just blow up like a balloon. And they're confused because they're saying, well, I'm eating this good, healthy food. Why do I feel so bad? They can have very severe bloating and pain and very severe gas. Simply because you have these bacteria that are in the wrong place and we're getting fermentation in the wrong place. So here's the solution to lack of stomach acid. Betaine hydrochloride. The chloride contributes and improves the hydrochloric acid, okay? So this breaks down and helps you build up your stomach acid. It works great. These come in tablets. You can take a couple, okay? It might make a slight difference, but I always recommend take a little bit more because sometimes you might need 6, 7, 8 at a time to create the effect that you want, especially in the beginning. And over time, you'll need less and less and less because your body will start just making more to the point where you won't need any help building your stomach acid. And I also recommend a couple herbs that are really good for digestion. Ginger, really, really good for not just helping you with gas, but to help release bile, to help release enzymes, and also to help with any type of spasms going on in the small intestine or tightness. So it just allows you to relax more in that area so you can digest. Any type of mint is really good for digestion, and fennel. Now, what about apple cider vinegar? Is that good? Well, if you actually look up some of the credible sites on Google, it'll tell you there's no research that says that drinking apple cider vinegar will help you with digestion. But my opinion is I don't really care if there's a study or not. I know it works. I've done it myself. I've given it to my patients. It works on a.
I think in a lot of cases, everyone's body reacts different. I know there's, people can do research on, like, the average person, but our bodies are different. Some of us can eat certain things that some of us cannot eat, and I myself think apple cider vinegar works. It's helped me with some things. I've actually taken that. Also, ginger is very good as well. I try to add that. Sometimes it's hard to add some of these things in your diet, but you have to make a way and put forth the effort. It takes effort at times. Also takes effort to walk past some foods. But I see what he's saying. It's even though there's no research, sometimes there's certain things that work for you and certain things that may not work for you. So I guess you have to experiment a little bit with what your body reacts to.
A lot of people. And who's going to spend the money on the research on apple cider vinegar? Unless you own an apple cider vinegar company, no one's going to spend that money. Instead, most of the money in researching digestive problems is going to be funded by medication. Who can afford to spend money on research on digestive problems? Pharmaceutical companies, not your average Joe that wants to do a study on apple cider vinegar. But there is some research on acetic acid and slowing your digestion down. So the enzymes in your small intestine can start acting on the food and contribute to more complete digestion. And so the faster the food goes through your digestive system, the less complete the digestion is going to be. I mean, just think about if someone has diarrhea, right? Food could go right through you undigested. But if there's something that can slow down the digestion, like apple cider vinegar, and consuming enough fat at the meal, the rest of the digestive juices can act on that food and really break it down to the point where you don't get these problems with gas and extra methane and bloating and other related symptoms. So
I can see how that makes sense, being that the apple cider vinegar is acidic, and it, again, it's adding more acid to your stomach, or to your, I guess, to your body. Again, this is within moderation, right? This is somebody who actually needs it to help break down the food, but it makes sense what he's saying.
So both betaine hydrochloride and apple cider vinegar are really good to reduce flatulence and hopefully get rid of it completely. All right, now let's talk about food intolerances like lactose intolerance, right? This is not a true allergy, but you're just intolerant because you don't have the enzymes to break down this milk sugar. So anything dairy can create a lot of gas. A lot of people have a problem with this. Now you can take enzymes for that, or just avoid dairy. Then you have gluten.
I didn't know this at all, that you could take enzymes to help break down dairy. This is something that I learned. I'm sure maybe somebody knew it, but I kind of appreciate this information. I guess those of us who maybe want to try some dairy sometimes and have issues consuming it can look into adding enzymes, kind of like taking enzymes with supplements.
A lot of people have an allergy to gluten, and some people don't, but they have an intolerance for gluten. And that can create a lot of gas, bloating, pain, arthritis, etc. So the good thing about what I recommend is if you're on healthy keto, you're not going to have to worry about it because you're not going to be consuming gluten or grains for that matter. But for any type of intolerances, you can always take more enzymes. You can also take probiotics to help fortify the microbes so they can make more enzymes. I found a lot of people that have food allergies, if they take certain probiotics, they can actually reduce their food allergies. Okay, then we have what's called gas-producing foods, like fruit is a big one, right? Beans, legumes, starches like potato, rice, things like that, grains, sugars, certain cruciferous vegetables like Brussels sprouts, okay, broccoli, cabbage. Then you have like onions and garlic, These are very gas producing for certain people. Other people can consume them without a problem. But if you are on the ketogenic plan, you're not going to be doing fruit, you're not going to do beans, you're not going to do starches, you're not going to do sugar, so you're going to be in good shape. Now, if you have a problem with cruciferous vegetables, there are other vegetables that will not produce gas, like lettuce, tomato, zucchini, olives, and avocado. Okay, so just eat more of these right here.
It's good that he's offering alternative vegetables, or a variety of vegetables for people who have issues consuming certain vegetables. I think it's good to just have a variety. I don't want to sound cliche and say moderation, but I'm going back. I'm going back again to saying, find out what your body reacts positive to, find out what it reacts negatively to. A lot of us have a general idea, but it takes a long time of studying ourselves, and we haven't. A lot of us don't put in the time to study ourselves to eat healthier and see how our body responds. We know how it responds to stuff that's bad for us, of course. It sometimes we may not feel anything, but over time we know how that responds. But we need to also take time to study ourselves and see how it responds to things that are good for us.
I will say, when I recommend the healthy version of the ketogenic diet, I recommend that people consume a lot more greens and salads and vegetables. However, for some people, they don't have the microbes to handle that much fiber. So you want to go slow and you want to gradually go into it. But a good percentage of the people just jump right in. They have a really big salad each day and there's no problem. But the benefit of the fiber to feed the microbes, as well as the potassium, the magnesium, the vitamin C, and all those phytonutrients can greatly help a person and take their health to a whole new level. All right, number 4, sugar alcohols. When someone starts the ketogenic diet, inevitably they're going to be really into all these really cool desserts you can now have and make with these little keto cookies and
This is the this is the this can be dangerous for those of us who have a sweet tooth, but I'm just saying.
have little bars, and they're filled with these keto-friendly fiber, like corn fiber, and other fibers like dextrin that are considered keto-friendly, that create a lot of gas for people. Inulin might create a lot of gas, and it's in a lot of different keto-friendly products. Inulin is a type of fiber. And then you have the sugar alcohols like erythritol, xylitol, mannitol, which for a lot of people can produce a lot of gas. So you will quickly find out if you can tolerate these sugar alcohols once you start the ketogenic plan. I think a lot of people, when they start keto, they go overboard and just...
I'm gonna stop right there. I don't know why he ends with that, with her eating that chocolate. We don't know if that's healthy or not. Anyway, I think this was good information on adjusting your gas patterns, I guess, for lack of a better term, or how often you fart and how bad it smells. I just thought this was pretty interesting. He provides some good info in his videos. Go check him out if you can. I appreciate your time and thank you for listening. And please, please, please like and subscribe.